Ladies and gentlemen, what if I told you that the realest love story in hip-hop was built on a 20-year lie? What if I told you that Remy Huma didn't just hide a secret, she gave it a name, she raised it, and she let Papoose believe for 2 decades that he was the father of a child that was never his? Because just days ago, a sealed DNA test got leaked. And what it revealed, let's just say even I would have looked at the camera and walked the hell off stage. Jason Scott, Ray's firstborn, the one we all thought Papoose proudly raised like his own. Turns out the real father is a famous rapper. Someone who once shared bars with Papoose, and maybe more than just the mic with Remy. Flushed face. And now Papoose knows. The fans know. And the streets are buzzing with one question. Who's been daddy this whole time? Because the second that name dropped, the internet went into a meltdown that still ain't cooled off. This isn't just betrayal. This is generational deception. And by the time we're done, you won't look at Remy the same ever again. Ladies and gentlemen, let's make one thing clear. This ain't your average cheating scandal. This is 20 years of silence, loyalty, and lies melting into one leaked document. And it's shaken the entire foundation of hip-hop's most praised power couple. Because for as long as fans can remember, Jason Scott was Papoose's son. Not by blood, but by bond. He raised him, defended him, called him Young King, and posted throwback pics on Father's Day like clockwork. The world admired Papoose for stepping up like a real man. But what if he didn't step up willingly? What if he stepped into a lie? Let's take it way back to before the fairy tale, before the wedding, before the prison loyalty story that Remy and Pap made legendary. Let's talk about the moment Remy mom made a decision she thought she could take to the grave. Sources close to the family claimed that when Remy found out she was pregnant with Jason, things were messy. Really messy. She was coming up in the Bronx, battling in grimy basement, gaining buzz, and allegedly in the middle of a complicated situation involving 2 different men. One of them being a rising underground rapper who would later go mainstream. We won't drop the name yet, but let's just say he's had platinum plaques, famous beefs, and more than a few baby mama scandals of his own. Remy, according to insiders, never got a paternity test back then. She chose silence over chaos. She raised Jason alone for a while. Then came Papoose. Loyal, present, loving, ready to be the man that baby needed. And that's exactly what he became. For years, Papoose wore the father title like a badge of honor. And Remy let him. But earlier this year, something happened. Something small, subtle, but devastating. A family health scare involving Jason triggered a hospital visit. During the process, routine genetic tests raised questions. Questions Papoose couldn't ignore. Insiders say he confronted Remy. She denied it. He pushed harder. She said she'd get the test just to shut him up. And that's when it all fell apart. Because when the results came back, Papoose was not the father. The man who stood by Remy through jail, through tabloids, through rumors, through public disrespect, the man who stayed down while she came up, was never biologically connected to the son he loved like his own. And here's the most savage part. The real father, he allegedly knew the entire time. Let that sink in. According to a hairstylist who once worked on a Remy photo shoot, because yes, in Gossip Spill vibe, even the glam squad got tea. This mystery rapper was spotted sending Jason sneakers, concert passes, and birthday gifts under uncle status. Uncle, please. More like shadow dad. But wait, the rabbit hole gets deeper. Because the same source claims that back in 2011, this rapper tried to reconnect with Remy quietly. No interviews, no photos, just DMs. And guess who allegedly saw one of those DMs back in the day and never forgot it? Yep. Papoose. Apparently, he let it go at the time. Believed it was nothing. But now, every word, every message, every delayed reaction from Remy started to make sense. And when the DNA results dropped into his lap, it all came crashing down. We're told Papoose was crushed. Not angry, not yelling, just silent hurt. The kind of silence that only comes from realizing your entire foundation was fake. But don't get it twisted. He didn't just sit there and cry. Word is Pap left the house that night. No bags, no goodbye, just keys on the counter and a look that said, "I'm done, Remy." She was apparently emotionless. Not because she didn't care, but because she knew this day might come. So why now? Why, after all these years, would the truth finally come out? Some say it was the hospital. Some say it was guilt, but others they say the real father has been pushing behind the scenes. Rumor is he wants to step in. Not just financially, not just as a name, but legally. He wants recognition. And he's willing to go to court for it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are not just looking at a secret baby daddy reveal. We're looking at a custody war, a legacy battle, a full-on timeline rewrite of everything we thought we knew about Remy Ma, her son, and the man we all believed was the blueprint of Black love. So let's talk names. Because after weeks of speculation, deleted tweets, and whisper campaigns across every corner of hip-hop Twitter, one name has now surfaced like a ghost from the past. Big Pun's former protege, a Bronx legend in his own right, none other than Fat Joe. Yes, you read that right. The same Fat Joe who gave Remy her start. The man who put her on with Terror Squad. The man who called her sis on every track from 2000 to 2007. That Fat Joe. Fans had joked about it for years. Said the chemistry between Remy and Joe felt too real on certain verses. But no one expected this until now. Because just days after the DNA test surfaced, a fan account uncovered a clip from a 2004 radio freestyle where Fat Joe slipped a line that at the time sounded like a bar, but now it sounds like a confession. I gave her the flow, the name, and something else she ain't claim. Something else she ain't claim. Nah, fam. Now the streets are reading that bar in a whole new light. And it doesn't stop there. Another leak hit Reddit. An old Terror Squad backstage clip showing Joe holding a toddler. A toddler people are now claiming was Jason. No official proof, of course, but the internet don't need paperwork to start an inferno. Comment sections blew up. Forums melted. People started compiling side-by-side comparisons of Jason and Joe. The nose, the jawline, even the way they lean when they talk. One viral tweet read, "So y'all telling me Papoose raised a mini Fat Joe and Remy never said a word?" And the reactions absolutely savage. Joe. Been calling her sis while raising his own kid in her house skull. Pap deserves a Peace Prize for this level of calm. Remy really played the long game, huh? But the biggest reaction came from Fat Joe himself. Because whether it was pressure, guilt, or pure ego, Joe jumped on Instagram Live 2 nights ago and said this. "People talk a lot, man. But I ain't never speak on family business unless the family brings it up. That's all I must say. Bless up." Wait, what? No denial. No shutdown. Just vague wisdom wrapped in a smirk. Papoose, on the other hand, still hasn't said a word publicly. But insiders say he's in talks with legal counsel and hasn't returned home since the night he saw the results. Meanwhile, Remy's still posting normal content. Throwback versus studio time. Smiling selfies with cryptic captions like "The truth always finds its way." The nerve. Fans feel betrayed. Not because of the secret alone, but because Remy built an entire brand around transparency, around surviving the storm with your partner, around loyalty, trust, and Black love that lasts. And now it all looks like marketing. Papoose's fans are furious, saying he was used, humiliated, that he was more devoted to Jason than his real father ever was, and this is how it ends. But Joe fans are out here throwing curveballs, too. At least he ain't run. Better late than never. Maybe now he'll be a real dad. And Jason, radio silence. Except one blurry IG story last week where he posted a photo of himself in the studio with a Terror Squad hoodie and no caption. Just a DNA emoji. Subtle but loud. So now the question becomes, was this just one of those industry secrets everyone knew but no one dared speak on? Because if Joe's been sending gifts, reaching out, making silent appearances in Jason's life for years, this wasn't some random twist. This was choreographed deception. And what's worse, the legal threats are already starting. According to a leaked letter, which may or may not be real, Joe's team has filed intent to pursue legal guardianship modification, essentially forcing a formal acknowledgement of his paternity in court. Why? Because allegedly he wants rights and possibly custody. Yep, you heard that. This might not just be a scandal. This could turn into a removal. And Remy Ma. She might have to explain to the world how she hid the truth from not one but two men for over 2 decades. It's the calm before the courtroom storm. Because now that Fat Joe's name is officially in the mix and Papoose is gone ghost, all eyes are on the one person caught in the middle of this mess, Jason. Sources say the 23-year-old has been laying low, avoiding the spotlight and dodging media calls. But behind the scenes, he's allegedly been subpoenaed to testify in a private custody review. Yes, you heard that right. This is no longer just a family issue. This is a legal war. According to documents obtained by a gossip blog with too much time and not enough chill, Fat Joe's team is pushing for what they call retroactive recognition. Essentially, it means Joe wants the court to formally name him as Jason's biological father.